Welcome back, you degenerates, to the number one fantasy football podcast in the world. I'm your host, Mike, with my dearest of friends, Billy, Joe Green. How are you doing this week?
I'm well, very sad because I faced Joe Mixon in multiple leagues this past weekend. A little sad.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, I think that's like, I don't even know how to phrase it. If you avoided Joe Mixon, you're a godsend. Like, lucky, had the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow type shit. You won the Powerball. So shout out to the one person who won that, by the way. That was trash. But
$2 billion.
Yeah. Need that kind of luck in fantasy, right? $2 billion.
I don't need that because I just continue winning regardless.
Mike, how you doing, Mike?
Winning. I'm winning. I am winning like I always do.
Haven't you lost 4 straight in the listener league, though?
Three straight because I just don't care about a league where I'm not making money. Let's face it.
That is fair. That is very true because I only care about 2 leagues, but one I'm knocked out of. Really 2 leagues.
Yeah. So I'm my home league. I'm winning. It's looking good. Going against Joe Green this week. Bleep that out.
I will.
I'm gonna take first overall after this week. It's gonna look good.
You got great matchups. I'm probably.
I have great players. It's not great matchups. I have great players.
No, I mean Saquon versus the worst run defense of all time. So pretty. He's going against Cones. So
yeah,
literally. Yeah.
All right, we have a bye week this week. It's Bengals, Ravens, Jets, and Patriots. News: ton of little injuries. Nothing really there. Number one news: probably Raiders lost again.
Yeah.
So let's kick off.
Jeff Saturday? I don't know.
Jeff's Saturday. But I kind of love it. Like
no, that's a horrible hire.
It doesn't matter who the coach was. Like either he's going to be great or it's going to be bad. So what does it matter?
I'll tell you what. We'll get into it and we talk about the game, but I don't want a coach who's never called a play after high school. I just don't. Jeff Saturday ran the ball 12 times and then played defense when he coached high school. Like,
we'll see what his game plan is. And one of the coaches that got promoted to the offensive call sheet, he's like one of the youngest coaches. I think he's 30.
30. He's 30 years old.
Yeah,
he'll be a Madden play caller. Guarantee it. We're gonna see a lot of 4 verts,
4 verticals,
a lot of PA boots.
Yeah.
So Pittman
PA
boost.
crossers.
Pitman boost.
PA crossers.
All right, so let's kick off. We have Thursday night game. We have the Falcons versus the Panthers.
The rematch.
It plays into the playoffs. I mean, both of these teams have a chance to be. Going forward.
Stop it.
It's a fact.
It's true. It's facts.
Yeah.
This is actually
Texans
a great betting game. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, this division reminds me of the NFC East. Was that last year?
Last year or 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
2 years ago, and the team who won the division had a losing record. It's going to happen again this year.
Yeah. The only thing I really have to say is hopefully you picked up Marshall. You're gonna pick up Marshall tonight. In waiver wire. I'm high on him. He's had over almost 150 yards in the last 2 games, 90% snap percentage. I love it going forward. That's the DJ Moore. He's a big playmaker. So that's really all I have for the Falcons. For the Panthers. For the Falcons, Patterson's back.
Yeah.
Stealing touchdowns. So.
I love how he just skips over like all the topics I highlight into this.
I didn't even see that. Oh fuck! It's right below it.
I'm sorry.
Remember when he goes, "Oh wow, they're all in yellow this week." Wow.
No, but he puts.
I've got nothing to say on this game.
Look, I highlighted. Can I highlight? I'm gonna highlight it for you guys.
You're so dumb.
I am so dumb. I should not be host. But
it was insane to me that the Panthers were down 42 points. And still didn't throw the ball to DJ Moore. I think it's crazy.
I'm going to be honest, I really didn't catch that game. So I did not understand what happened. I saw Baker Mayfield playing. It kind of stopped showing highlights of that game at one point after Joe Mixon hit 5 touchdowns. So
Joe Mixon.
And people actually bet for the Panthers to win, which was insane.
A good amount of people did.
A good amount of people bet for that, yeah. I just want to say PJ Walker's a starter this week, and
So far.
so, according to whoever the coach is, I don't even remember his name. And then the weirdest stat of all time, the Bengals don't play this week, so it won't matter. But teams are 0-8 after playing the Panthers this year. Makes sense of that one. Don't understand.
Interesting.
Falcons
I mean,
next week.
Bengals can't lose to the bye week, so I don't know. But
Yeah, but couldn't they after the bye week? Does it translate?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
They
Shout
play
out Big
Pittsburgh.
Cat for that
They
stat.
play Pittsburgh. Close your eyes special. Close your eyes special.
We betting it.
Oh, I'm all over it.
So, are you buying on the Terrance hype?
I'm not.
You're not.
No, just because that offense is bad. PJ Walker is bad. They can't run the ball efficiently. Shout out to you, Mike. D'Onta Foreman, 23 yards. Great take.
Listen, we're going
it's not
forward.
really 80.
He will go. He'll go for 150 this game, and it'll bounce back. It'll even itself out. It's all about averages.
You're putting your name on a 150-yard D'Onta Foreman game this week.
I'll say 129.
Oh, okay.
My name on it.
He's putting his name on it. Let's see if he bounces back. Yeah, I mean, I want nothing to do with this offense. So
Me either. Not really, but I like Marshall.
I mean, I like him as a talent, but until he's got some sort of consistency in that offense, I really don't want to be a part of it. It's nice to see him getting the ball because I liked him a lot last year.
Yeah, he was a sleeper. Everyone was buying the hype for him being one of the top rookies last year. But
I mean, yeah, in 2 games, 15 targets, 7 receptions, 140 yards, and a touchdown. But like Billy said, it's like such a disgusting offense. How much confidence you have playing Terrance Marshall in your lineups? I mean,
yeah.
I guess if you're in a tough spot, I mean, bye weeks are kind of behind us at this point.
Last week was the way. Last week would have been the way you played them when you had the whatever six teams on bye. That's when the time it was play them. This week, I guess you could, if you have in Higgins. I mean,
is that who you're playing? Is that you're gonna put in your lineup instead of T Higgins this week? Is Terrance Marshall?
No, I just throw in Waddle to replace him or whoever. I have four top wide receivers, so it doesn't matter.
Listen, I'm just throwing it out there. Listen, for him to score 14 fantasy points in a game where they were losing by 40 at one point, like that doesn't bode well for like his stock. I don't think. Like they should be throwing the ball 60 times in that game, and it just didn't happen. So I really don't know what to do with this offense. Therefore, I'm staying away. I've dropped DJ Moore in multiple leagues. I'll see you later. Want nothing to do with you. I'm done. I'm done with him.
There's just no QB.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, just quick touch on the Falcons. Who will be the lead back in Atlanta to finish out the year? I thought Patterson came back and was interesting, but he had 13 carries, 44 yards, 2 touchdowns, 39% snap share. Obviously, his first week back, and then Algier had 10 for 99 and 38% snap share.
It's going to be Patterson over the long term. They're going to slowly work him back. He came back from knee surgery. They don't want him in between the 20s trying to make cuts and do this, do that in his first game back. I think they slowly work him back into being the full-time guy. But they know they drafted Algier, so there is some sort of love for him. But for him to get more of the work on the same amount of snaps, it's like I think a bunch of it was in towards the 20s, like in the red zone anyway. So I'll take the touchdown upside.
Last week, Patterson said he was only about 80-90%. So
yeah,
it was figured that he was around snap count. So
I think it's also important to note, like, as long as they're in the playoff hunt, they're not going to give up on Cordell Patterson and start going to the rookie. So I think like as long as they're still competitive, you're probably not going to see a ton of Algier.
He's a buy low candidate right now. That's what he is.
Who, Patterson or Algier?
No, Patterson. Because I mean Algier. Even though Algier showed flashes, he was not featured in the passing game. Where Patterson, no matter what, he'll be featured in the passing game. And if he gets 13 carries and he gets 5 catches, you got a RB2 flex play right there. So I would buy low on Patterson going forward.
Yeah, I don't know how low you can buy on him because he still performed fantasy-wise, but maybe people are trying to sell him. So if I was a Pirates owner, I wouldn't be selling him.
Same.
Next up, apparently we have a Nazi game. Seahawks versus the Bucks.
The game in Germany.
The game in Germany. They make me say these things. It's written. Mike says this in the notes.
I mean, you don't have to talk about Nazi. Like we really didn't have to mention.
Yeah,
that.
you didn't have to say that. It was just
you wrote it. You said right.
He's like, I swear, he's like Ron Burgundy. You write it down, he's gonna read it.
He reads off the teleprompter. Unless it's a little too far down, then he just totally ignores it.
Yeah, there's just there's nothing there.
It's a joke, folks. This game is played in Germany. Probably around 10 o'clock. Don't quote me on that. 9:30.
9:30.
Tom Brady. Going to Seahawks. I didn't want to read it again.
He was gonna read it.
See, I don't know what Mike's talking about. This is great content. I
don't know what I'm reading because I didn't read the notes because they sent me fake notes. Some bullshit. So that's how they want to play this podcast. So anyway, let's talk about Tom Brady throwing to Chris Godwin. What do we think about Chris Godwin going forward? Last couple of weeks showing up, no touchdowns, but has 22 receptions. Oh, what the fuck? I'm reading the wrong thing. He has 9.3 targets, 6 receptions, 57 yards, no touchdowns. I already said no touchdowns. So,
I don't like Tom Brady as of late. He looks to be a shell of himself until that fourth quarter comeback that he had last week. And it gave me a glimmer of hope that this offense could one day be good again. I said a glimmer of hope. I didn't say it will be. I said there's hope. Listen, hope has been a strong word, Mike. Don't be shaking your head. I told you the Jets are going to be hopeful, and look what happened last week.
I hope I'm skinny. It's just not happening. I'm running like crazy.
That's because you eat too much.
That is true.
Chris Godwin, I never really thought that he was always the second option I wanted in that offense. I'll always rather have Mike Evans for the touchdown upside. I'd rather have the guy who's 6'5",
Like me.
Yeah, definitely like you. What do you do with them is kind of the question, and I don't really know. Seahawks, yeah, they're 19th against the pass, but in the last 3 weeks, they're the number 1 defense. So, might be having to bench Chris Godwin if you can.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my hot take of the week.
Damn. I'm definitely. Go ahead.
Pass rush has been pretty decent for the Seahawks, and coming from the Bucs, who obviously don't get sacked a lot, but that's because Brady throws the ball faster than anybody else in the league.
Right onto the ground.
Because he's getting pass rush. So,
yeah.
Hit it how you want.
That's just kind of my hot take.
It's tough because the volume is there. Like he's averaging 9.3 targets a game, 6 receptions. The yards are way down though, and then 0 touchdowns. And like you said, it's hard to have any faith in that this Buccaneers offense turns around. I like the comeback. Yeah, it was cool. Honestly, that was an all-time meltdown by the Rams if that even happened. Yeah. But their offensive line is just garbage, and I don't think it's getting any better. Brady doesn't look like himself. I don't know that there's much hope that this turns around significantly for them, but it's Tom Brady. I guess you never can count him out.
Yeah, the division, I think he's still realizing he can still win this division. So I think he'll try to find a way.
I think they're technically in first now. Well, yeah. Well, the Falcons are the ones who are tied with them, so I think they're tied. They're ahead of the Falcons.
It's brutal. 4-5. It's so bad.
That's another NFC East type.
It's the same division.
Okay.
Man. Same division.
Don't make fun of me. Kenneth Walker, you guys say is the next coming of the Lord himself.
I would not.
Was I not supposed to say that?
You can say that.
No.
It's in yellow.
I said that.
It's in yellow.
I wrote it. I thought it was like funny. Next coming of the Lord himself. I couldn't think of a running back to compare him to because let's be honest, there's no
running back.
Start throwing guys out there.
Last 5 games, he has 96 carries, 512 yards, 7 touchdowns. 77% of the snaps. He has 19.2 attempts per game, 102.4 yards per game, 1.4 touchdowns per game. He's dominating.
Yeah, and then like every week, I'm waiting for it to fall off.
This is the week.
Yeah, I think so. But he keeps finding the end zone. Like 2 weeks, not last week, the week before when he played the Giants, he just ended the game, fell into the end zone. I'm like, oh, come on. Because I have somebody in my DMs who, he traded a pick that was way too high for Kenneth Walker, and I was like, I don't know. I think that's a bad trade. But you have the room for it to do the trade. And I'm just waiting to rub it in his face, like, oh, see, I told you Kenneth Walker's dog shit. But it's not happening.
It's not happening.
I thought he was a decent running back, and I thought he could catch passes, but he keeps finding the end zone. As long as you keep finding the end zone, you're gonna produce fantasy wise.
It's funny that you said he can catch passes. Meanwhile, he's almost like never featured in the receiving game. I mean,
that was my preseason opinion, was that like everybody's like, well, he can't catch any passes. I'm like, well, he can. I don't think that was like his one thing, like, oh, he does know how to do it. And like it's just not true whether they use him or not that way. It's just there's like always like one play where he just breaks off a 45-yard run for a touchdown. And that's kind of what you're always hoping for.
He's explosive.
Yeah.
Explosive and quick.
I think he finally gets shut down this week.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know. Like the Bucs aren't a good run defense. I think they're in the 20s. They allow 125 rushing yards per game. They're in the bottom half. But
the travel schedule, he's gonna be tired. Too many beers. That's what's
I don't know. I don't think so. I think you got a solid running back one the rest of the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, that's enough for this game. Next up, we have the Lions versus the Bears. What has happened to St. Brown? I'm not going to say his first name. Amon Ra-St. Brown. Just say St. Brown. That's all we need.
Nick, you could be talking about Equanimous St. Brown. He's also playing in this game.
True. I would say that first name as well. Since week 3, 35 targets, 22 receptions, 219 yards, 0 touchdowns, 43.9 fantasy points, and 8.7 per game. Not looking good. Not being that huge play in the last, like he was in the first 3 weeks before his injury. And I think it's strictly because of injury. I think he's banged up. He's been banged up all year after the hype in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, he's not averaging double-digit targets, so therefore he won't. It's impossible for him to be a top 10 wide receiver, according to Mike.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a couple of things. The defense is playing a little bit better. They don't have to be airing the ball out every play. Yeah, the injury hurts them a little bit, but they've been running the ball well. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I don't expect it to be fixed in this one because the Bears are dog shit against a run as well. Yeah, he still like you wrote, still holds 35% target share, runs every route, no blocking, none. Could be a factor.
And Jameson Williams, Dan Campbell said today he's hopeful that he returns in December. There's still no timeline on him, so you don't even have to worry about Jameson. Although someone made the counterpoint, like he wished Jameson would return because now they don't have Hockenson. So yeah, Amon Ra is the only guy people are focusing on. I think he's a buy low candidate personally. Like if I could get Amon Ra, I would take the risk. I don't think he's worth a whole ton right now when you consider he's had 2 good games all season. But I don't know how desperate those people are. I mean, they're probably in a somewhat tight spot. He was a third, fourth round draft pick.
Yeah. You were always higher on Amon Ra than us. I thought it was just kind of just the volume, not really the talent. That's just me. Just my opinion of it. Like, he just always makes a play, and he's always getting 10, 12 targets a game. So, until that's all fun and games until the targets aren't always consistent, and then that's what we're seeing now.
That's the same. He's like the same player as, not player like the way he plays, but the reason why we like Mooney. Reason why I like Mooney is I thought he was going to have 150 targets. Doesn't happen no more.
Yeah, but targets are still earned. Like you have to get open. Why a quarterback's not going to just force the ball to you 20 times a game.
Unless you're Daniel Jones, and he'll throw the ball wherever, whatever.
I can't really slander Daniel Jones this year. He's been all right.
He's better than Carr.
Better than Aaron Rodgers.
That's for sure.
Probably worse than Rodgers.
Anyway, I think he's banged up. That's the reason why he hasn't been playing that well. And all the things Billy said. But
it's a mix of a bunch of things. Yeah,
he could see more targets now that Hockenson's gone. I mean, he did. I mean, Hockenson was gone last week, but I mean, I'm not going to just throw it out that that one game was the reason why he didn't see more targets. He could see more targets this week. He should.
I mean, he saw 9. Like, it's not like he didn't see a ton of targets. Like, 9's a lot of targets. Just didn't.
I mean, he was at like 12 last year.
Yeah.
Next up, the hottest player in the league right now, Justin Fields. He is showing that he's better than Lamar Jackson right now.
Yep. He's this year's Jalen Hurts. The year before is Lamar Jackson. 3 straight games with over 20 fantasy points, 3 straight with rushing touchdown. And shout out to Fields Yates, who just tweeted this as we're talking about this game. Over the past 4 weeks, Justin Fields has a total of 110.52 fantasy points. That's more than anybody in the NFL. He's the best fantasy player in the NFL right now. I told you. Told you 3 weeks ago.
He did. If you're watching the podcast, Billy called this. I was a little bit eerie on whether I should jump on him.
Which is fair. It's very fair.
I mean, he in the beginning of the year, every statistic as a QB, he was bottom feeder. He's one of the worst, percentage-wise, everything else. But I give it a huge shout-out to the coaches because the coaches finally scripted the game plan around him. They went from a pro style to more run-happy for QB. He's actually running it. He's also had pretty much of an easy schedule. I mean, for the most part.
I don't know about that.
Oh,
Dallas,
shot, dude.
Miami, New England. That's not really.
Yeah, those are
New England,
not easy teams.
New England, no, but Miami's. I mean,
Dallas is probably the best defense in the league, man.
I didn't say. I said Miami.
Miami's not great, but they
I didn't say Dallas.
You said that easy schedule. That's
not like the hardest.
Yeah.
He's playing behind on all those games. He has to do it. There's no choice. He has to do this.
We love it. We hope he keeps being down. Since week 6, he's been QB8, QB5, QB5, and QB1.
And he's going to be QB1 for the next 2 games.
Going
against the Lions, and then the Falcons. He should be a top 5 QB in the next 2 games.
Yeah, what's really turned into a real interesting game is Week 13 when they play the Packers right before their bye. That's gonna be a real interesting game to watch.
Packers they're slowly I wouldn't say
becoming the Bears.
They're not quitting, but they're losing players. They just lost their star linebacker to ACL. They're getting worse and worse. More injuries. Green Bay can be falling apart real quick. Might not even make the playoffs.
They're not making the playoffs.
They're not making the playoffs. They're 4 games. They're 4 games out.
You never know, Aaron. You still have Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know. You should just put in Jordan Love at this point. That's what I think.
Question for you, Billy.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're Justin Fields. Obviously, you own Justin Fields because that's the type of guy you are. You put your name on your word and you picked him up. Okay. Are you willing to start him in the playoffs? Because you are going to be in the playoffs.
Don't be doing that to me.
You are going to be in the playoffs. Week 15, he's going against the Eagles. And then week 16, he's going against the Bills. Are you willing to put your eggs on Justin Fields in the playoffs? That's what the people want to know. That's what I want to know. Because guess what? You're going to be worse than either Joe Green in the playoffs. So tell us.
See, Buffalo, I'm not too worried about. But Philly, I am worried about. So okay. I won't be against either one of you. But God help you if you see me in the championship game. I've been telling you for months. God help you. Justin Fields going against Detroit. ETN going against the Texans. Better watch out, boys.
My notes is if you're in the champions, Lions, week 17. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. So, and we're going to see because they're going against the Lions this week. We're going to get to see exactly what he can do against this team.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, if you are a real contender and you're also a Justin Fields believer, trade for him. And especially if you're like rocking like a mediocre quarterback. If you're rocking Kyler Murray, because I own him in one league, like I'd much rather own Justin Fields at this point. So
hopefully, you could trade him to a team that has them and they have Hopkins or something.
Yeah, man.
The stack.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else about this Golden Boy?
No,
not much else to be said.
Yeah, that's 3 weeks in a row we've been banging this drum. So if you're not listening to us by now, you're not winning leagues.
Mm-hmm. Next up, Browns versus the Dolphins. Jeff Wilson told you he was going to take over the backfield. What are your thoughts? Did you think that? Obviously, I said that. I said that he's possibly that he would see like 12 to 15 carries. He saw, I think, 10?
Yeah, he saw 9. And you were the only person on credit. I didn't think Jeff Wilson, but that is a bad sign if you're Raheem Mostert or if you're a Raheem Mostert owner that Jeff Wilson sees 9 carries in his first game with the Dolphins. We'll see if that trend continues. I do think it could become. I mean, the Dolphins aren't running the ball very much anyway, so it could become kind of irrelevant. Like their backfield in terms of like really like playing them as flex plays and feeling confident about it. But yeah, I mean, he outperformed Mostert, 5.7 yards per carry to 2.9. So 49% of the snaps compared to Mostert's 47. You're definitely a little worried if you own Mostert that he's even playable.
And he's going to be the goal line back. 100%. He's the bigger back.
Well, it's tough to say that. Mostert had a touchdown closer to the end zone, but yeah.
Yeah. It's probably going to wind up being 50-50. Probably what's going to happen, and then like Joe Green said, I'm not really excited to own a 50-50 running back for the Dolphins who just throw the ball as much as they can. So I don't know how much stock I'd be willing to risk to own Jeff Wilson, or I wouldn't really be willing to trade for him per se. But if I did own him, like in certain weeks, like he could be a play in plus matchups. Like for either one of we also have to realize they played the Bears last week. It's a great matchup. Before the Jeff Wilson news, I loved Mostert because I felt like that kind of worked into him better. That. Yeah, it worked into his style of play a little bit better. But now if Mostert saw 16 and 17 carries, his 2.9 might be a little bit different.
For those who don't know, he was in my waiver wire video. Everyone dropped him after CMC got traded to the 49ers. He is available in almost 50% of all leagues. So he is available. So if you're looking for a running back late this in the year and you don't want to trade for one, possibly pick him up. I'm not going to say he's a banger, but he's going to have weeks where he has a touchdown. He's going to get 10 to 12 carries a game. He has upside.
Yeah, you'd rather have a guy who gets 8 to 10 points consistently, just sitting on your bench, like especially during bye weeks and whatnot, than somebody who may play, may not play.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
For the Browns, Deshaun Watson, 3 weeks away.
Yeah, they didn't play last week. There's one league where somebody dropped Peoples-Jones in one of the leagues that we're in.
Insane.
Because of the bye week. They needed somebody. Scooping them.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Peoples-Jones needs to be. He's being featured. Ton of targets, and now they're finally going to have a real QB. Hopefully, he's not going to be too rusty. He looked rusty in the playoff. He looked rusty in the preseason.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, not playing football for 2 years will do that for you. But
yeah, and then almost not playing for a whole nother year. Yeah.
He'll
be great. He'll be great.
I think people. I mean, this is my personal opinion. I said it earlier in the year. I think you're crazy if you stashed Deshaun Watson for this many weeks. Like if you made the playoffs and first week of playoffs come around week 14 or 15, you're like, oh yeah, I'm starting Deshaun Watson after you didn't play all season. I think you're in trouble, but we'll see.
Like in our league, I felt like it was like in a keeper league, I felt like it's important to draft him.
Yeah.
And then even if you drop him and then pick him up like week 8 or week 9.
Yeah.
I mean, then you can keep him if he plays well. It's no loss if he doesn't. But most leagues, it's not really worth. It was never really worth owning him to begin with.
If you made it this far, I assume you have a quarterback. Like if you're solid playoff
just rolling
spot,
no quarterback out until Deshaun Watson comes back.
I just don't understand it. Like to me, it doesn't make much sense. I mean, maybe by week 15 he'll look better. We'll have 3 games before then, but I'm not sitting there like, oh, I'm psyched to play Deshaun Watson first week back against the Texans. We've seen how reunion games go, by the way. Look at what happened to Russell Wilson, and then I'm missing someone. Kirk Cousins this past week was terrible against his old team, but
people forget that they're going to run the ball 30 times as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that coach is not going to. He's going to continue running the ball with Chubb and Hunt. So I'm not shocked. Like they're going to run the ball. And can he be a great play action QB? I don't know. It's a rhythm game, so let's see if he could snap out of it.
Yep.
All right, next up, we have the Broncos versus the Titans. Malik Willis has been starting the last 2 games. You say he shouldn't be allowed on a football field for another presidential term?
I
Dude,
agree.
he's garbage. He is straight up garbage. I said
he threw dimes out there.
Oh,
that's the only game I watched.
Stop it. He threw dimes for the first quarter. I mean,
all right, I shut it off after that. So
hey guys, remember when you guys kept telling me that Malik Willis was better than Kenny Pickett? You remember when you guys like, oh, I can't believe they took Kenny Pickett over Malik Willis? I'm like, I'm not. Malik Willis stinks.
I couldn't believe they drafted a QB in the first round when they don't have offensive line. That's
fair. I mean, I couldn't believe it, and I still can't believe it. But that's besides the point. There's a lot of people upset that we didn't take Malik Willis, and look how good of a take that is. You know, he's not good. He's not a passer. He's got a cannon. I will say he's got a cannon, but it's kind of like a Josh Allen. Like that's just like when he first came in the league, just real inaccurate. But like, he's not hitting anybody.
He doesn't. If you watch him throw, he doesn't have like the foot rhythm.
No, his
footwork.
It's off level and everything.
Yeah,
I mean, he doesn't have his fundamentals down. He's just not ready. And you know, Billy, I greatly took that back once I watched him in preseason because I mentioned on this podcast like in week 3, I was like, if Malik Willis starts, all the wide receivers on the Titans are off the board. I mean, not that they're on the board anyway, but
everybody except
they are gone.
Treylon Burks, he's still ownable.
Yeah, but they are off the board. Malik Willis,
one of the biggest busts of all time.
Who, Malik Willis?
Burks.
That's a stretch, but Malik Willis
is definitely
Mr. Asthma Boy.
Fun fact. I just want to talk about the Titans real quick. Fun fact. Whenever you guys are watching Sunday Night Football and the whole group that's on TV says who they think is going to win, and everybody says one team, bet the other team, except for when it's against Patrick Mahomes, because the Titans should have won that game.
Should have.
I had a light little money line sprinkle on the Titans, and I was so happy all game. And just more salt in the wound after a tough Sunday. But yeah, that's
just Tannehill, they win. Straight up, Tannehill, they win the game.
Yeah, that defense is good, man. They're aggressive. They're fast. I don't think the Broncos score a single point in this game.
Jeez,
I agree.
Crazy.
Yeah,
I concur.
I concur, Doctor.
I had nothing on the Broncos side because they didn't play, and I don't think there's anything that noteworthy.
Reminds me of a Thursday night game. Should be 0-0 on the clock for 3/4 of the game, and maybe we end with a 10-3 score.
Now, this is a perfect Sunday afternoon game because if you're watching Red Zone, you'll never watch it.
You'll never see it.
It'll be great.
Never see it.
You'll see Derrick Henry run into the end zone once or twice, and that's it. You won't ever see it otherwise.
They had Red Zone on at the Jaguar Stadium, and for the Colts-Patriots game, they're like, yeah, there's no highlights. There's nothing to see in this game. There's
No.
not even a highlight worthy play.
No.
It's like, jeez.
That was one bet that I had that won was the Patriots. I'm like, somebody show this game. Somebody show me something.
All right, that wraps up that shitty game. We have the Vikings versus the Bills next. Will Josh Allen's elbow affect him fantasy-wise? Joe Green, I think, says possibly out for 2-3 weeks. Is that true?
There's rumors he might have to get Tommy John surgery.
Which is awful.
Yeah.
He could be out a
good.
month, is what I read. A lot of doctors, these fantasy doctors online, all seem to believe this is pretty bad. And this sucks on multiple fronts. I mean, if you own anyone on the Bills offense, and then if you own Josh Allen.
How many QBs have had Tommy
John surgery?
Tommy John.
I don't know. That sounds like a Joe Green question.
Because,
to be honest, I'm not sure.
Because, baseball, you're out for, a full over a year.
Yeah, it's a kind of a different throwing motion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
From what I was reading, it's a little bit different for a quarterback. It's not as serious as it should be. It's the Tommy John injury. It's really what it is. Whether he needs surgery or not, you don't know. But I think it looked like it affected him. He didn't look as accurate. He didn't look great. The Jets defense, they played great, but still Josh Allen, he was missing some pretty easy throws. I watched a lot of that game. I'm not worried about Diggs as much, but no matter who his quarterback is, but Gabe Davis, his season will be over if
he's out for
for more than a day.
It's Chase Keenum is backup. I don't know if you knew that.
Case Keenum?
Yeah.
I love Case Keenum.
That's a solid backup.
Case Keenum's the best college quarterback of all time.
And he already has a relationship with Diggs. So I want to point that out.
Yeah. I love that.
Playing with him when they were both at the Vikings.
Yeah. My question about the Josh Allen elbow injury is whether he tries to play through it. More of is Diggs' fantasy impact go down? And I'm not too sure if it does too much. He's still going to get all the targets.
I think, you might see them go into more of a run-heavy offense, which would be very interesting because they're not very good at running the football.
The Bills?
Yeah. Well, but if Allen goes down and they miss time, you're not going to play air raid with Case Keenum. I'm sorry, you're not.
Oh, they shouldn't.
You can't. So,
I mean, the opportunity. That's where he comes from. That's his roots, man. I don't know what
he doesn't have the arm no more.
You guys be forgetting who Case Keenum is.
No. Sorry, no.
Okay.
Devin Singletary through the roof, though. Maybe even some James Cook.
Were you surprised that Naheem Hines saw nothing?
A tad.
Yeah.
Tad. I didn't even mention that in the notes here. It's kind of slipped my mind looking at the box score that he just had one target.
Yeah, he did. He was hardly on he had 5 or 6 snaps. It was really bad. It wasn't great. On the Viking side, how about the new nightmare, Mr. Kirk Cousins himself? Anytime he plays at 1 p.m., he's just a stud. Just wins games. That's what he does.
Great photo op in the plane.
Oh yeah,
that should have been a domination by the Vikings. The fact that they don't dominate the games that they should, it's just.
Yeah, they struggled a little bit. They're not running the ball great, so
no,
it's kind of really affecting it. But
I want to point this out. I don't know if you guys were watching the Manning cast last night during the Monday night game. Kirk Cousins was on. Kurt asks Peyton Manning, "What do you do when a team gives you cover 0?" And Peyton Manning absolutely refused to answer the question. Pretty much told Kirk, "Good luck. Figure it out on your own." Was not giving him the answer.
Course. Yeah, I was actually watching at that point because I saw that Kirk Cousins was on, and after that picture that surfaced, I was like, I gotta hear what he has to say. But why would you? Why would you?
I just thought that was funny because I wanted to hear his answer. I was genuinely curious what he thinks was best. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, why wouldn't you just answer the question? And he's like, "Oh, I'm sending my playbook down to Jeff Saturday. I can't tell you."
That's his boy. That's weird. Jeff Saturday's his boy.
And then obviously Eli Manning's not going to answer the question because he doesn't know what that cover 0 looks like. But that's besides the point.
That's a fact.
Keep messing with my Eli Manning Hall of Famer in a couple of years. First ballot.
Yeah, we'll see.
TJ Hockenson, real quick. Initial thoughts. 16-point day, 9 for 9. Nine targets, 9 receptions, 70 yards, 91% snap count. Crazy.
There's no other tight end there, so
there's nobody else there. But they used. I thought they'd use him, like I said last week in the first half a lot, and they used him the whole game.
He's honestly probably a top 5 blocking tight end as well. So he's gonna be blocking no matter what. He's gonna be on the field. It's not hard for a tight end that already knows how to be a NFL tight end to block and do his passing. But I told you
the playbook.
No, he just sits there and blocks. So, but I told you this is going to be white on white crime, didn't I not?
Going forward, we did say that.
Going forward, just keep saying white on white crime. Expect more targets here than you did play for the Lions.
Yep. This is real quick. This is the longest stretch. Speaking of white on white crime, longest non-injury game stretch that Adam Thielen hasn't had a touchdown in like the last 4 years.
We said it was going to be a bad year for Thielen.
Yeah.
After my slander for Adam Thielen the last 2 years has finally paid off. He finally is no longer a prime receiver.
That's like me and my Aaron Jones.
Yeah. Eventually it will hit, right? You just keep slandering him. Eventually he'll stink.
Yep.
All right, let's roll. Steelers versus the Saints, or Saints versus the Steelers, however you want to say it.
Saints versus Steelers.
Yeah,
Steelers is the home team.
Yeah, I understand that. That's why I repeated it. Let's start off with Najee Harris. You think he's going to show up going against a Saints that have a struggling run defense?
I hope so. I think every Najee Harris owner really hopes so. First off, ESPN Jeremy Fowler, you have no business talking about the Steelers. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not the beat reporter for the Steelers. You just heard that from somebody. You're just like, Jalen Warren. Like, where's his source? Because no Steelers beat reporter saying that.
Are you gonna report what he said though? Like, or say?
Yeah, he said. Like, yeah, no, I shouldn't because there's no basis to it. Because you wrote that, and I looked at all my beat reporters for my Steelers. Nothing. No news about that.
Listen, Jeremy Fowler claims that Jalen Warren is going to be featured.
Now let me ask you a first question and then a follow up. Who does Jeremy Fowler write for? ESPN, right?
I guess.
So
I have no idea what he does.
Okay, so exactly, you have no idea what he does. Not important guy, right? So you think that
he's important for ESPN.
So you think he got that information before, I don't know, Adam Schefter did? Doubtful, because it's fake information. I think it's fake information.
Watch Warren get
listen,
15 carries.
The Saints are allowing 120.9 rushing yards per game. Saints D looked terrible. Run D looked terrible last night. Like Kenny Drake run all over one of my fantasy teams. It wasn't great. I think he can. I don't know if the Steelers' O-line is good enough. That's my concern. I was gonna
say. I still think the offensive line is just so bad that even going against a bad rush defense, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think
Harris is banged up. Even though it's coming off bye, he just doesn't look like he has it this year. And
I went over this not last week, 2 weeks ago. I very closely watched that game when I was on the plane, and he looks fine. It's the offensive line. His cuts look good. He's looking for holes. They're just not there. The second he finds one, his linemen fall over, and there's nothing that he can do, really. They're going to have to somehow get the ball to him in space. Probably, listen, been saying it for 2 years now. Throw Najee the ball, you win games. This is a winnable game for the Steelers, and I think that they need to just really focus on getting both Najee and Deontay Johnson the ball.
With Chase Claypool being traded to Chicago, what's the biggest beneficiary? You can't really say Deontay Johnson. He's getting featured already.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna go either Pickens or
Muth.
Oh, Pickens
or Muth.
Yeah,
I would say Muth right now.
Yeah, I like Muth a lot. He's just that's the guy who I've been on from the jump
Mm-hmm.
of preseason last year. Listen, Deontay Johnson, most targets in the NFL for a player who doesn't have a touchdown, and it's by like 15 targets. I don't know if he'll ever score a touchdown.
Probably not.
But I agree. The other two, both George Pickens and Freiermuth, are definitely going to get somewhat of a bump. It's not like they were using Chase so much, but now there's no worry for Pickens that like, oh, well, if you don't perform, Claypool's right behind you. It's like it's his show. He's the deep threat guy. He's a guy they can probably do more with, whereas like Deontay just like that volume reception guy.
100% agree. Anything from you, Jordan, on this?
Yeah, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I think you're kind of right about patting Freiermuth and Pickens. I mean, just more targets to go around for all three of them. I don't think they're going to like incorporate a third guy or a
more
fourth
targets
guy,
for Najee. More targets for Najee.
Yeah, maybe Najee, but
or Warren.
Yeah, and or Warren, if you really want to stir the pot here, but not much else. And I had nothing on the Saints side because I just don't think anything's that interesting. I mean, Alvin Kamara, what's there to say? I mean, Olave's awesome.
Olave.
Not really. Nothing interesting. Maybe Jarvis Landry returns next week, but let's be honest.
Andy Dalton stinks.
I mean, so does
They both
Jameis.
stink.
They both stink.
At least Dalton fucking throws it. Red
Yeah.
Rifle at least throws it. You know, pussy like
He
no.
looked so bad.
Winston's a
last
pussy.
night.
Pussy just doesn't want to throw it.
He looked bad, but I will say Ravens defense with Roquan, pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
All right, next up we have the Texans versus my Giants. Giants need a win, stay in the playoff hunt. This is obviously going to be a game of the running backs. Two of the worst run defenses. Texans are probably the worst, if not second worst, giving 180 yards per game.
They're the worst.
33.3 fantasy points per game. Just because the Texans give the most rushing yards per game, Barkley probably only gets 50 yards. Just want to say that now.
Yeah, because Daniel Jones will just,
he'll run for the
140.
He'll get 140 by himself. Which is I wonder how many rushing yards they give to QBs because that would be interesting to know. Jones flex play. Well, not flex play, but
Jones
play.
Flex play. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I've thought about it. In the one league I have that has Mariota, I thought about it.
Mariota.
I'm pulling it up right now. Let's see. You can keep talking.
And then we probably have to talk about Brandin Cooks. What do you remainder of season? He didn't play 2 weeks ago. Did you play last week?
Well, no, that game was last week. It was just Thursday Night Football. Yeah, I was kind of asking the question, what do you do with him if you own him? He doesn't even want to be on the team. I guess you got to follow, what he ends up doing. But
they probably don't. They don't. I have no reason why they would release him.
Well, no, they're not going to release him. He makes way too much money. It's more of a question, does he suit up? And then if he does suit up, do you trust him? Yeah, I don't know what you do at this point.
I mean, he was a flex play at best. He wasn't. You didn't really get the draft value for him that you expected, I would say. Right?
No, definitely not.
So I would say if tell him if he has a good game. That's all I would say. Like, I know people's trade deadlines are soon. You probably don't even have opportunity. If you can get something out of him, you might as well.
Yeah. By the way, found that stat about the Houston Texans. They're only averaging about 15 rushing yards to quarterbacks. But that's kind of like the league average. Like the Dolphins just gave up like 160 to 180 to Justin Fields, and they only averaged 41. So it's kind of like convoluted stat. Doesn't really mean anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
I tried.
You tried, thank you.
Tried.
Obviously, if you're Giants, you're probably, if anything, it's just Barkley.
Yeah.
Robinson. Maybe Robinson if you're desperate.
And I think this is a big Damian Pierce game too, because as we're talking about it, like, yeah, the Texans give up the most yards, but the Giants really get killed on those fast running backs that find holes and make cuts. So
I finally get to watch my boy run against my team. It's gonna be sad.
yeah, and you're gonna hate it.
I know. He's gonna deck somebody, and I'm like, yes, go. And then I'm like, oh fuck, that's my team.
Big letdown game for the Giants this week.
I hope not. We let one down last week. We can't lose 2 in a row.
Well, yeah, you were on bye last week. Definitely didn't let one.
No, they kind of lost the bye week. McKinnon breaks his hand to start the Odell.
Yeah,
first,
and a terrible Jesse accident. You hear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Terrible ATV accident.
ATV.
Yeah, you got the joke.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Jaguars versus Chiefs. Mecole Hardman, I was not really excited going putting him on the waiver wire, but he slowly had the last 3 games some amazing football, and hopefully going forward he continues to see it. I think they lit a little bit of a fire with trading for Tony. I think that really set him off. Last 3 games he had 17 targets, 13 receptions, 153 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Yes, those 3 touchdowns came in 1 game.
No, they didn't.
I thought he had 1 game with 3 touchdowns.
No, it's 1 touchdown a game for the last 3 weeks.
Didn't he have 3 in 1 game?
No. If he did, it wasn't in the last 3 games.
Oh.
That 1 each week. Now wide receiver.
Yes, it was. You fucking loser.
What do you mean?
He had 2 rushing touchdowns against San Francisco.
Yeah, eat my dick. I don't even watch football, and I know
idiot.
this.
Wait. All right. So it wasn't in 1 game. So then he has more than 3 touchdowns.
Oh, you don't even do good notes. And I'm blaming Billy over here.
See? It's not always me. It's not always me.
Touchdowns. My bad.
Yeah.
And
No, 1 receiving touchdown each time, but then he had 2 rushing touchdowns.
His rushings were like really passes. So
yeah.
My bad. He's 5 touchdowns. Only 3 receptions, 3 receiving.
Currently wide receiver 33 on the season, averaging 11.72 fantasy points per game. Going forward, can I see this going forward? I don't know.
It's hard to trust.
It's not enough. Like you were talking about 17 targets between 3 games. It's not enough targets. Like he's obviously being schemed for. Like, could you throw him in flex? You could, but I honestly, it's too hit or miss for me. It's like I don't even know who it's like. It's not worth it for me to put him in your lineup.
Yeah, like him getting 9 targets is kind of game script last week because they were losing the whole game, which is not something that they normally do.
And Tony that was Tony's first game. So
listen, I'm not believing any Tony hype, man.
But I mean,
they threw him a screen pass, then he hardly saw the field
because it's his first game.
He had a whole week off to learn the playbook.
Yeah, but he's stupid.
Listen, Andy Reid don't like stupid people.
He is dumb. His name's Joker. Trust me, I'm a Giant fan. He needs a little time to marinate.
What does that have to do with anything? He didn't even play for the Giants.
That's true. Wait, I'm sorry. He could have been a Jaguar if Giants didn't fuck it up and Urban Meyer would have signed him and we could have got ETN.
One of your favorite people, Billy, came up with a great hot take. Another wide receiver hot take. Said that Mecole Hardman will finish as top 20 wide receiver this year. Same person told us that Brian Edwards was better than Drake London.
Wow. Interesting. Wow. So I know. So now I'm completely off Mecole Hardman. Shout out to Garrett, the worst fantasy football mind I've ever met in my life.
The worst any sport mind I've ever seen in my world. The whole anything.
In his own little world. This kid. In his own little world, I swear.
What's that?
He knows sports, but he wants to have a hot take about everything. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
I think it is too.
Like Wake Forest being in the championship.
Yeah.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Anyway, Hardman.
Talk about Juju.
No, I want to finish my Hardman thing. I don't think it's sustainable, so don't do it. Please don't. It's gonna lose you a game. Only do it. I would say only do it if you do have the stack with Mahomes and put him in the flex. That's the only reason I might do it. Anyway, let's talk about Juju now. Finally becoming a top 20. Mike and I thought he would be. I mean, Joe Green wrote that, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of confused of why you wrote that because I'm pretty sure I had him in the top 20.
Oh, I was high on him, but I guess. I probably mixed.
Yeah, it's definitely not Mike. Mike's a Juju hater.
No, I liked him this year.
Yeah, Mike liked him this year, but
okay.
maybe
we only this year.
Mixed that up. But Mike definitely did like him.
Last 3 games, 25 targets, 22 receptions, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is what we saw. This is what I thought he would be all year, leading the team in targets, being the big playmaker. He is another character, another person I would trade for. Currently, right now.
Yep.
I mean, you're buying him high, but yeah,
you're buying him high, but
the price is very high. I've axed, not in our league, but in like the other like
overall,
they're high.
Overall, though, he's wide receiver 18. You should be able to trade for a wide receiver 18. Not that hard. It shouldn't be difficult. It's not like you're trading for, Hill or Jefferson, one of the top names. He's in the middle of the pack. You should be able to make a deal.
You should, in theory.
In theory, not.
But TikTok has ruined all that.
Yeah, we have a huge take on him on TikTok.
Yeah, we do. I've found like this year has been the hardest year ever to trade. People are just so out of their mind with everything and anything, no matter what league it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's
crazy.
Thanks
to us because we're giving such good information out there.
Yeah.
And then obviously we have to talk about ETN. He's a championship winning running back. He's going to finish top 5 probably.
Top 5. He's number 11.
Yeah, he's sky's the limit. I just wrote that he doesn't have the greatest. No, I didn't write it. Where did I write this?
What did you write?
I wrote something about him.
That's great. I'll cover the blank air. ETN currently has the 5th most rushing yards in the NFL, 3rd most yards per carry. Wasn't the starter for 5 weeks. So
yeah,
it's saying something, guys. He's really that good. That team is half good at best. I mean, they beat the balls off the Raiders last weekend. So they do something. I'm not worried. He's matchup proof. I think they.
You think he's matchup proof?
I think they're just looking for somebody to rely on, and I think Etienne's that guy because Kirk has been inconsistent. Everybody on the team's been inconsistent except for Etienne and the defense. So
because for the people that have him and the people that might want to trade for him, he's going against the Tennessee, Dallas, and then Jets. Jets are a very good defense, which people don't think so. Yeah. People don't really realize. Dallas is obviously good. They're more of a pass rushing team. Big plays on the secondary, but they're still good. And Tennessee is besides the first 3 weeks of the game, 3 weeks of the year, they've been one of the top defenses in the league.
Yeah, Tennessee's the 2nd best run defense. Everybody else I'm not worried about. Dallas is giving up 135 yards per game. You said they're playing the Jets. They still give up 110 yards per game. That's kind of their top 10 defense, but I'm not worried. Because,
I still think he's a top 5 running back this year.
Yeah,
and he's not, obviously, he's not coming out of your lineup.
He's not coming out of the lineup, and there's definitely a bunch of smash spots where no matter what, if he's like your 3rd running back somehow, you're starting him over a bunch of big name guys come playoff time sometimes.
Because he's also the only running back on the team. There's nobody.
Yeah. I think Agnew even tweaked his ankle in the beginning of the game. I don't know. Joe Green was there.
Does he play wide receiver, running back? You never know.
But now he's playing running back more. So
Hasty was playing the backup role, so maybe you're right. Agnew might have got hurt.
I think that's it. Colts versus the Raiders.
The Raiders.
You get to talk about Jeff Saturday taking the realm of coach. Very interesting. Very interesting. to say the least.
It's very interesting. And then somebody retweeted about what Jeff Saturday said about the Raiders after he was watching the Raiders game, talking about how much the Raiders stink at football. Guess who he's playing? First game coaching. It's just karma.
His first game coaching could be better than Daniel's whole season this year.
Could be, or it could be dog shit.
Yeah.
Which I think it's going to be.
You think so?
Hear me out. He has no quarterback, no running back, no play caller, no offensive line, not a great defense. So tell me what you got. You have Michael Pittman.
Never met a player on the team. Doesn't know a thing about it. He wasn't even on the coaching staff. He has no idea what he's walking into.
Yep. Listen, I feel bad for Jeff Saturday. You know, he wanted to try to tell Peyton Manning about 20 years ago to audible out of a play. And ever since then, he's been afraid to call a play. And now is his chance. Listen, he's probably going to have Peyton Manning in his headset calling the plays for him. Could be.
Can you imagine if they played a good team this week, like the Eagles or like the Vikings? Oh my goodness, I would love to see it. I would have seen that. That would have been.
Thank God they play the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders are going to win this game, man. I promise you. I know you think that they're not going to. They're going to. But you're just if they don't, you need to denounce fandom. You need to denounce fandom.
Like, I'm hopeful they lose. I'm like Jets fans. I'm hopeful they lose.
Yeah, well, you know, it doesn't work out for Raiders. You know, didn't they just cut Abrams today?
They did. That was needed.
Yeah, it was needed, but that's another first round pick just wasted. At least the Jets still have their first round picks.
Shout out John Gruden.
Yeah. For the Colts, Deion Jackson suffered a knee injury. Just not what you want to see after you trade away Nyheim Hines, who's a good running back. And Jonathan Taylor may never play football again at this rate. Who the fuck knows?
I just want to say a stat. Since 2003, 30 teams have fired their head coach in the season. 14 for 16 straight up bets. That's the record. 16 at 14 against the spread. Yeah, 46.6 straight up win rate. Might not look great. Those teams, 79 for 216 and 2 ties.
Yeah, no, I know it's kind of like you fire the head coach and then like the team plays better. But the next coach who steps in is called a play before. That's just where I'm going with this whole. It's kind of all like in my mind. Like it's like, yeah, cool, great, but like, yeah, they're playing the Raiders who are trying to lose football games. But like, Jeff Saturday doesn't know like an offensive playbook that well. He knows how to block. You know.
I'd go as far as saying he probably hasn't stepped in the stadium this year. Like he doesn't know anything.
No, he did because he went to the Colts Hall of Fame this year.
Did you think he just got that call like, how are you doing? I'm good. You want to be the coach? Like, how did that conversation like get there?
It wasn't great.
I'd love to know.
You think he had the call him like 2 weeks ago? Like, listen, if you lose another 2 games, you're in. That
it probably was in the works.
Like it doesn't make sense because like,
but that
Fox,
means
Fox
he has
is
a
on their team and he's qualified. There's like 3 qualified coaches on their roster to do it.
Even if they wanted to go to a former player, I'm pretty positive Reggie Wayne is the wide receivers coach. Like, I just don't understand. I don't know.
Call Peyton.
No, he owns the Broncos. He wouldn't.
Oh yeah, you can't. Conflict of interest.
Anyway, we can talk about Pittman. I mean, he's dog shit. Like I said all year.
Mike just goes to he's dog shit. Not like is Michael Pittman even playable with Sam Elhinger or is he a buy low candidate?
He's not.
Sam Elhinger sucks.
Not, man.
I agree with that. I'm just saying you just skipped the topic.
Listen,
you were just
one of you two said Sam Elhinger was good a couple weeks ago.
I did.
No, I did not.
Yeah, Mike did. Mike did.
I didn't say it was good. I just said Tetz is great.
He's the second best quarterback out of Texas since Colt McCoy. Something like that.
I never said that. I said he reminds me of Colt McCoy.
Yeah.
If you could sell Pittman for something, you might as well. Because
This is why I put out that post on Instagram. I literally, as soon as they benched Matt Ryan, I said, absolute sell Michael Pittman for anything you get. I hope people listen because it's too late now.
It's gonna get even worse once JT comes back.
Yeah, it's not going to get better until they play a quarterback. If they don't have anyone.
If JT comes back.
Yeah, that's true. And you're also telling me right now to sell Josh Jacobs is going against run defenses of the Rams number 3, the Patriots number 22. That's probably a little bit biased. They're probably really better than that. The Steelers
are.
Steelers number 9 and then 49ers number 1. It's horrible.
Steelers give up a bunch of yards on the ground. They just don't give up a lot of fantasy points. They're like a bend don't break.
That's all we care about here.
Yeah, I know, but like at some point they'll break and have a rushing touchdown. That's kind of what it is.
I just think it's a tough stretch for Josh Jacobs, especially like in the playoffs. I mean, again, like he should be your RB2, so he's been pretty matchup proof. But I think if the Raiders season goes even further south, there's not much to play for, and who knows what happens with Josh Jacobs. So
fair. No, I don't disagree. And then Chiefs week 18 as well.
Yeah. Which they're ranked 4, but we always say it's kind of like he just torched the Chiefs, you know, like it's kind of like they're good because they get ahead and then teams don't run the ball.
Uh-huh.
That wraps up the Raiders. We can't really talk much more about them because they're so bad. Like we don't want to light fire in the trash. So
yeah.
Cardinals versus the Rams. Kyle Murray, too short to play.
He's too short to reach the cabinet where the controller batteries are. That's the problem.
Facts. So good.
Rams better hope Williams is the next Bo Jackson at this rate.
I mean, seriously, like they're hyping this guy up like he's this insane athlete. I mean,
I think you're pretty upset you're having him on your team and he's trash. And you're holding the spot for him.
I don't know. I don't really mind it just because if he's actually any good, it paid off. But
does he play this week?
I don't know. Hopefully, that's a question for Sean McVay. It sounds like he should. But you know, like you look at the Rams, the second worst rushing team in the NFL with 47 yards, 3.2 yards on the ground. There's 6 rushing touchdowns, 3 of which are only 3 of them are from running backs. One's from Kupp, one's from Skoranek, and the other one's from Matt Stafford. So, I mean, Kyren Williams absolutely has a chance to take the backfield. No one else is any good. But, again, Kyren Williams isn't a good athlete, so that's where this will be kind of interesting.
Yeah. And shout out to Jalen Ramsey for saying it without saying it, saying that Sean McVay is a shit coach. He said it after the Bucks game. He said, "What do you mean? We need it from you one more time? We just did it. Where's your offense?"
Yeah.
Tough. I really don't have much to say about this game. The Rams usually beat the shit out of the Cardinals, if I'm correct, right? Isn't that usually what happens?
Usually.
I'm trying to remember the dynamic.
The Rams always lose to the Niners, and I'm pretty sure
Seahawks always beat the 49ers.
Yeah.
No, is it that way?
Yes, trust me. Remember I had the bet with Jesse?
The Niners beat the Niners beat the Seahawks this year already though. So it could be a different kind of year. Kyler Murray, I'm starting to think he's not very good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things happening, and I'm sure he would. He's basically playing on the Giants with that offensive line. He's not getting the ball to where it needs to go. So many balls getting batted down, getting sacked so many times, especially for a guy who's a mobile quarterback. Like, move. Make a play. Do something.
He's afraid. He doesn't want to get hurt.
He also has a massive ego. I think that's, like, really understated. I mean, we saw it how, like, upset he was about the whole tape thing that was in the contract, which I get. Like, I'd be upset too, but, like, the way he handled it was really bad. Clearly, the Call of Duty comments piss him off, man.
Hey,
I mean, that stuff gets
better.
him so mad.
Get a better lawyer and be better. That's what I gotta say.
He should have never got mad about the whole thing in his contract. Like,
Yep.
be
Well, just
accountable.
handle it differently. Yeah, like you could handle that better. Like I don't know, whoever's his PR person did a really bad job, like advising him how to deal with that. But
Like, be accountable. Just fucking be like, yeah, listen, I could be better. That's it. They want me to be better. I could be better. It's in my contract. Holds me accountable. That's it. And it's true.
Oh.
I can always study more. That's how you should have answered it. I could always do more. But he's a little baby. He's the size of a baby. And the only thing you like is Hopkins getting
Hopkins.
20 points a game.
I don't know that I didn't have anything on the Cardinals because there's not much to say. Like I think Kingsbury, we've said everything we need about him. He stinks. He's like a bad offense coordinator. The offense is just a mess. Who knows? Like Hollywood's going to return in like 3 weeks. That will be weird. I just the whole thing is not. I other than Hopkins, there's nothing I'm really intrigued about owning on this team.
I agree. I was trying to figure out who represents Kyler Murray. That's what I was doing. Rock Nation Sports. I thought for a weird feeling it was Donda Sports, and I was like, well, BR makes sense then.
That would make a lot of sense. He'd fit in perfect with Kyrie and
the rest of the
and Antonio Brown over there.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Next up, we have the Cowboys versus the Packers. Romeo Doubs high ankle. You know how high ankle sprains do it. It's 4 to 6 weeks. Does not look good for Rodgers. Aaron Jones suffered an ankle injury. He was in a walking boot, but he should play. That was just precautionary. Unfortunately, I was hoping he was out.
Yeah, I mean, according to a real football source in Adam Schefter, not Jeremy Fowler. Fucking dog shit, Jeremy Fowler. What are we doing here, guys? Come on.
Just saying.
This is why I don't write notes. Dak Prescott, a top 10 QB for the remainder of the season, and the answer is no. Who have they played? Who have they played? Tell me. Who have they played? They play the Bears. Now they're going to play the Packers, which Packers kind of look like shit anyway, so it's going to make him look good again. But hopefully the Packers can they have to win if they have any shot to win the playoffs, to get in the playoffs. So, anyway, he's still not a top 10 QB. What is he ranked right now?
I mean, well, he's not going to be a top 10 QB. He missed half the season. I think that'd be insane.
It's a possibility.
What
he's currently ranked 36. He's played 1, 2, 3 games.
3 games. And really played half of one of those, but yeah.
Yep.
I mean, he did shit against Detroit. Like, how do you say he's a top 10 QB? He only had 12 points against Detroit.
No, it was his first game back.
Yeah.
And then he
shaking the rust off.
A killer game against the Bears. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, he has a pretty good matchups going.
That's why I posed
until week
question.
16. I mean, he has he's going against week 16. He's going against the Eagles, and week 17 going against the Titans. It's not.
Yeah, like if the question is if Dak Prescott is gonna be a top 10 from here on out, the answer is absolutely yes. Whether Mike likes it or not.
Yeah, the Giants, Colts. Oh, it doesn't look good.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Him being undraftable, aged like milk, Mike.
He's
gonna be a top 15. He's gonna be a top 15 quarterback and play half the season.
Oh, he's not. Don't say that.
I mean, he needs what a 140-point game, a 130-point game, and it puts him top 15. Like, yeah, man.
I'm gonna see the leaderboards.
Anyway,
I'm gonna see that. So you continue.
No, I think this is a great stretch of games he has. I will say I wouldn't feel very good about playing him in weeks 16 and 17. Those are 2 tough matchups, but against Philly and Tennessee. But I mean, the rest of the way, like he could take you pretty far if you go from week 10 to 15. I feel pretty confident in him. And then week 18 he gets Washington.
Ready, real quick. He's 30 in our league. He's 37. Ahead of him, people like Joe Flacco, Mitch, Kenny Pickett, Cooper Rush, Mac Jones.
He's not catching top 10.
Sure, and then you go to 25, Davis Mills, who's played every game this year, has 99 fantasy points.
He needs 100 points to get the top 10. Exactly what he needs.
That's 2 games.
Well,
2 games, 50.
3 games.
But everybody else is still going to get points. Like, you're not accounting for that.
His bye week's over. He's playing the rest of the time.
So is everyone. Everyone's bye week is almost over.
Here's the quarterbacks I bet you he catches. I bet you he catches Jared Goff. Bet you he catches Derek Carr, Jacoby Brissett, Jimmy Garoppolo, Russell Wilson. Definitely passes Carson Wentz, Stafford. Like, those are all guys you get very
Aaron
easy.
Rodgers, he could beat out.
Yeah.
I don't think he's getting past Tom Brady, Herbert, Tua, Mariota, Cousins. That's top 14 right there.
Yeah, he's probably not. Yeah, I'll give you that, Mike.
He's not. I'm sorry. It's just they're all going to score.
I'm just saying it's a possibility.
Maybe Marcus Mariota slips and Trevor Lawrence right now is 9th.
Like, Mariota's been bad the past few weeks, man.
Yeah,
but he's still going to get 10 points, 13 points.
I'd be stunned if he finished top 10 like season long, but I think the remainder of the year you got a good play, personally.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, is the schedule speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I had nothing on the Packers side.
Packers stink. I don't want to talk about the Packers.
Yeah,
it's just
all I wrote is I wrote for people the only people that are only interesting on the Packers is obviously Rodgers and the 2 running backs. And
how is Rodgers interesting?
Aaron Rodgers is not interesting. Aaron Rodgers was the lead rusher last week.
That's the only thing we're paying attention to fantasy wise. I think personally, it's best for fantasy wise is if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt because they're going to be strictly running the ball. So that's kind of what I want.
Man, they'll let Jordan Love ball out.
Nah, they'll be running the ball 10 times more than they do.
The next Davis Mills, right there.
That's not nice.
That's not nice.
Now I'm just skipping. Chargers versus the 49ers. Elijah Mitchell is designated to return. Not that matters. They have CMC. And now, what do we see Deebo Samuels return after CMC has been traded? Now they're finally really playing together. What do we expect going forward?
Hopefully some receiving. And not less being a running back, more being a wide receiver. That's kind of what I'm looking for Deebo Samuel. Yeah, his rushing upside was great, but it kind of, knowing that Deebo can be hurt at any moment, at any time, and maybe not want to own Deebo when he was rushing the ball 10, 12 times a game. It made me very scared to own him. With CMC being there, it's a safer option for Deebo. Like, you're not getting that 40-point game anymore, but you can still easily get 15, 20 points a week from him. In this matchup, though, CMC is going to just feast. Chargers allowed 5.7 yards per carry, 9 rushing touchdowns this year so far against them. They're just bad on the ground.
26 against the run.
Yeah,
pretty bad.
Not great. For most of the year, they were the worst. So
bad tackling.
Bottom
team
3.
Too.
Yeah.
I'm just curious where Deebo fits in this offense because, like, I had this argument or this conversation with someone the other day. I'm not convinced that Deebo is even a top 5 wide receiver in football. Like, I think even top 7 is questionable. Like, he was so.
I think top 10 is questionable.
Yeah, like he was so attractive because he was used in this very niche way, like between rushing and seeing a lot of passes out of the backfield. Now that he's relegated to mostly a wide receiver, very interested in like what his value is going to be, what his production's like. And I know like all my 49er takes have aged like milk this season, and I probably will continue, but I'm not fully convinced that Deebo will have a great finish to this year.
I don't think Deebo.
I don't think it's
be
a bad finish. Yeah,
I don't think Deebo finishes as a top 20 wide receiver if he's only playing wide receiver. He's currently ranked 30th for people.
Okay, thank you. That was going to actually be my question. I didn't know exactly where he was.
Yeah, he's 30th right now. He has missed a couple of games, so he'd probably be he'd be almost 20 right now if he played every game.
Yeah, I've just my thing is like he could have that one game where he scores 45 points.
Yeah. course.
and then like he just somehow sneaks in there because this year's been like a lot of mediocre, and then like a player will get a huge game. There hasn't been a lot of consistency throughout. So
Mhm.
like the ranking system, like for the wide receivers, like it's
All
kind of
over.
been like tossed out the window in my opinion. It's like okay, he's the 30th wide receiver, but like he's still Deebo Samuel. Still have 40 points in any game.
Yeah,
I'll tell-
I'm just
I'll tell-
really interested.
Tell you who I'd rather have, Joshua Palmer right now.
Let's talk about him. Dependable as long as Mike Williams and Keenan Allen's out.
100%. Even if one comes, Keenan Allen, which I mean, Mike Williams is eventually going to come back maybe in 2 to 3 weeks. I kind of like the fact that if Mike Williams is out, it's better for Palmer because they kind of play on the outside better. Keenan Allen's going to play inside, which doesn't restrict Palmer from playing, on the outside, the deeper plays playing on the outside. He had 10 targets, 8 receptions, 106 yards last week. Played 91% of the snaps. We already knew he was going to get over 90. He has favorable matchups. He has, obviously not this week, but the Chargers have nobody. And that's why I said Palmer for the remainder of the season is going to look great. What's even going to be better is going to be Everett. I think Everett is a huge tight end you should trade for right now. He's had 9, 8, and 7 targets in each of the last 3 games. You know my saying targets eventually leads to production. And he's currently ranked 10th at tight end. By him right now, he could finish. He might finish top 5. Not even gonna lie. Especially if these wide receivers stay out, he will finish top 5.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Gerald Everett is a guy who like towards the right before like the season started, I was really starting to get like really hyped up on him. Like I wanted to own him in every league because of there's injury history here, with the Chargers. Somebody's always hurt, and he's always produced. He's never gotten too many like an insane amount of work, but this offense was it's really built around it. Like shorter passes, like that Mike Williams stuff. Like it's great every now and then, but what they really like to do: run the ball, run short routes, move the ball quickly. And that kind of ties in well with kind of what Gerald Everett does. Like he's not the fastest guy, he's not the most athletic guy. He's good in the red zone, and he's got great hands. So I always liked Everett. I didn't think he'd be getting this much work week in, week out. I'll tell you that. I thought it was like more of like a 5 target,
6 target,
like
40
yeah,
yards.
like 5 catches for 50.
Yeah, 10-point guy.
Yeah, and like that'll just eventually get you to top 7, top 8. But
now seeing
there.
Seeing 8 to 10 targets week in, week out, he's going to be a top 5. You're going to see eventually the yardage go his way.
Yeah, listen, if you get 10 targets as a wide receiver, you're a top 10 wide receiver. If you get
tight ends,
yeah, you get tight ends. You're number 1, number 2.
Mm-hmm. Gotta love it. That's it for you. Have anything else to say, Joe Green?
No, not on this game.
He doesn't care about nothing these days. Commanders versus the Eagles next Monday Night Football.
If you look at his face, I know that the listeners can't see his face, but this kid's straight up playing solitaire right now on his computer.
No, I'm going in between the notes and the cam.
What are you looking at the camera for? You're not even in it.
I just want to make sure it's recording sometimes. I get nervous.
That'll happen. That'll happen.
Like it's happened to us in the past, so I just always am paranoid. But yeah,
paranoid.
That happened to me with Ben and Zach. No, I did an entire episode, and we realized we didn't record it at all. I had to do the whole thing again.
There's nothing worse than that, and that's yeah. So
next up, we have the Commanders versus the Eagles. Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson might have a solid stretch of flex play going against the following teams. They have the Eagles, both against the run. Texans 32nd. Horrible. They should both go off, hopefully. Falcons 11th. Giants 24th. Then they have a bye. Then they have the Giants again 24th against the run.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Mike. I don't want to.
I think I wanted it to be Robinson. Unfortunately, it's not. He got shot too many times in the knee. I think it's Gibson play. I mean, especially now with Heineke in. Heineke likes likes Gibson, so I would be on Gibson.
You see the guy who shot Robinson was 16 years old. Pretty wild.
A 16-year-old and like a 13-year-old.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
It's Antonio Gibson's son.
Tony wasn't going to pay that. It wasn't going to pay someone that much to shoot somebody. He had to pay a little kid.
He's still in a rookie contract, man. Come on.
$5K was like enough for that kid. Like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they kind of like Brian Robinson is a dog. Don't get me wrong, playing after he gets shot, but like he's clearly not ready. He doesn't look like the same guy. I'll see you next year, Brian Robinson. You'll be on a fantasy team or two of mine. But this year, I don't really want him anymore. It's gonna have to be Antonio Gibson for me. He just looks like the better back. He's got nothing to lose. You know, they keep bringing in running backs year in, year out, take his job, and he just by the end of the year, it always goes back to Antonio Gibson's better.
Yeah, he's just more talented. I dropped Brian Robinson in our home league because it's just there's no upside. The guy literally is only touchdown dependent. He's never going to see your lineup, and he's not in peak shape. And I think that's all you need to know with him. And I think Gibson could eat. Like this schedule is kind of favorable. I mean, you saw the Texans lost Jordan Davis. Eagles lost Jordan Davis, the defense tackle, and they haven't been the same stopping the run. So, like, I think that's a pretty good matchup. But I think it's probably Antonio Gibson and not Brian Robinson.
Yeah. Yeah, because Dameon Pierce kind of did whatever he wanted. At least in the first half, he did. Yeah, I don't hate it. I just don't know if the Commanders are good enough of a run team to get it done against the Eagles. Is my concern. Like, at least the Texans, their whole identity is run the ball with Dameon Pierce.
They still have an offensive line, the Texans, at least.
Yeah. I just think that, you know, the Texans are just trying to win games. Like, they're done tanking. They're just, like, not getting the job done. Where, like, I don't really know what the Commanders are doing. They're just not very good.
They need to fire their coach. That's what I'm telling you.
They never should have hired that coach.
Exactly. Cam Newton made that man.
Yeah. Outside of that, like, I don't really have much for this game. Commanders aren't really that good on defense. I think the Eagles will be able to kind of move the ball however they decide to do, whether they want to run, whether they want to pass. You know, it's gonna be a little. I think the Eagles' offense this week is gonna be somewhat balanced for once. Like, you know, we've seen like 1 week where Jalen Hurts is only throwing the ball, and another week where they're only running the ball. It's gonna be a pretty balanced week this week, I think. Unfortunately.
Yeah. There's not much to take away from that offense. Like, they're just rolling on all cylinders, so not many fantasy takes to have.
Yeah, exactly. Dallas Goedert's a stud, though.
Consistent.
Yeah.
So that's my trade. Gotta get myself a tight end.
Yeah, for a third-round pick. It's craziness.
I got a fourth-round pick back. What are you saying?
Craziness.
And I got my
third-round pick for a tight end.
And I got Michael Carter.
So desperate. The desperation in his eyes.
I'm not done yet. When's the trade deadline for us?
Next week.
Oh, got more trades to do.
I don't know.
Hit my line, baby.
Crazy.
Hit my line.
Got a first-round pick to give out.
Yeah, hit my line. I got something for you.
Yeah, you got ETN?
I may.
Oh.
Give me that fourth-round pick, too. We'll talk.
If I take the ETN, I'm taking one for them because we do not want to see him in the playoffs.
I'm telling you, I don't want to see me in the playoffs. I'm telling you. I just don't know if I'll get there anymore. But
no, you're locked in, I think.
Hey, no, none of that. There's still plenty of time left in the season.
He actually does have some.
My internet just crashed.
It's going to be tough. Oh, we lost Mike.
No, I'm good.
No, Mike's here.
You hear me? It did cut out. I lost internet for a second.
Yeah. Anyway,
right.
That wraps it up.
Yep. Like, follow, subscribe. Smooches.
See y'all next week.